Hey, Blake, this is us. We are here. You are not, but here they are. Here's your classmates. They're saying hi. They insisted that they do that. So, all right. We are recording for Blake, who's not here. He really wanted to read the story today. So, we're going to let him be a part of the conversation today so he can just kind of hang out and listen to it. Okay. All right. Yes, you see I'm just going to do this because they're obviously distracted by the fact that, we're here. Okay. Blake, I am going to copy the PDF of the chapter 7 and 8. And so it'll be on Google Classroom so you can follow along that way. So you can just minimize this if you want to and listen that way. Okay? All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into chapter 7 and 8 today. We'll see how far we get. Oh, this was right after we found out at the end of chapter 6 that Master Wingfield, what is he making? What is he building? He's building a gallows. It's called a gallows. And why is he building a gallows for? Why is he building it? Why? Yeah, he promised that he's going to hang Captain Smith, and he has not forgotten that promise. So that's kind of where we've left off with the gallows. All right. Okay, here we go. Chapter 7. It says, does everybody have their books open? I know you're eating your breakfast, but you can be following along while eating breakfast too. Page 47. All right, we good?
Bless you, whoever that was.
Okay. Such factions here we had as commonly attend such voyages that a pair of gallows was made. The Captain Smith, for whom they were intended, could not be persuaded to use them. That was from Captain John Smith's journal. Interesting. He couldn't be persuaded to use them. Who would be persuaded to use gallows? For real. All right, here we go. The next morning dawns clear and warm. Captain Smith is back in chains, and the gallows sit ready. Reverend Hunt calls us together for Sunday services, and we meet and gathered around the tree where Captain Smith is chained so that he can join us. Reverend Hunt's sermon goes on for hours. I think maybe he will not stop until every single one of us has promised never to sin again. What? Oh, okay. So, what? There you go. He pretty much gave you that definition for you. So if you are a religious person, if you go to church or, wherever you worship, they say that the word sin is something that you do that's bad. So it would be like, kind of like your comparison of good versus evil, like, that gray versus, the white versus, how am I saying this? You know how someone says there is no gray area, there's right, wrong, no gray area. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, that would be what they're referring to when they're saying sin. Good question. I think maybe he will not stop until every single one of us has promised never to sin again. He says to tell a lie is a sin, and that any man who lies for his own gain and does not repent will spend eternity in the agony of hell's flames. He looks right at Master Wingfield and Captain Ratcliffe delivering her sermon with passion. I see Master Wingfield squirm. Captain Ratcliffe sets his jaws and stares straight ahead. Captain Newport looks at the two of them and shakes his head. I send up a prayer that Reverend Hunt's sermon will save Captain Smith from his hanging. After services, I bring Captain Smith some food. I wonder if it will be his last meal. Yet, he is calm. I've been a prisoner before, and I escaped before, he says. When I was a soldier fighting the Turks from the Ottoman Empire, I was captured and made a slave. They shaved my head, they put an iron ring around my neck, and brought me to auction to be sold like a beast. James and Richard are nearby, and they come closer to listen. The other slaves told me it was useless to try to escape. Impossible, they said. But one day we were working in the fields. I was threshing wheat with a threshing bat. My master rode up on a horseback with his whip. He cracked the whip, brought it down on my naked back, and lashed my skin open. I was enraged. I took my threshing bat in both hands and swung. He swings his arms as if knocking the cruel master from his horse once again. Down he came, and before he could get his footing, I cracked the bat over his head. Then I beat him with the stub until there was no life left in him. Okay. John Smith did that. No wonder Captain Smith is unafraid of these pale, weak gentlemen and their threats. If he wants to, he will kill them with his bare hands. Then I shucked off my slave rags, put on my master's clothes, and rode off on his horse to my freedom. Captain Smith finishes his story. The three of us boys are silent. I admire his courage, and I admire the way he talks back to the gentlemen as if they have no right to lord it over him. I've never known another commoner who had the nerve to do that. Reverend Hunt comes marching up, a ring of keys dangling. He takes the keys to the clamps on Captain Smith's ankles. I've convinced them that without you as a translator, we will all perish in Virginia, he says as the clamps open and fall away. Thank you, Reverend, Captain Smith says, rubbing his ankles. I owe you a favor. Reverend Hunt gives him a stern look. This is the favor I want then. I want you to at least act as though you have the proper respect for these gentlemen. If you insult them and anger them again, they may choose their pride over their survival in the new world. Captain Smith nods, and I wonder if he really does plan to be polite to the exalted gentleman from here on in. He is at least as stubborn as I am, so I know it will be hard for him to change. That afternoon, the sound of chopping wood rings out over the rumble of the waves. The gallows is cut up and thrown on the fire, where it nicely roasts our fish for supper. Okay. How does Reverend Hunt save Captain Smith from the gallows?
Translator.
Yeah, what's he do?
He
Yeah, he kind of pushes that a little bit. He kind of pushes the fact that, well, it's going to be really hard to survive if we don't have this translator, if we don't have someone that's going to communicate with these Native Americans. So that's kind of what he pushes for. Did it work?
Yes.
Well, obviously, yeah, it worked because here we are. So in turn, Reverend Hunt, John Smith, Captain Smith says, okay, I owe you a favor. What is the favor that Reverend Hunt asks of Captain Smith? What's the favor? I just read it. What was the favor that Reverend Hunt asks of Captain Smith? Sophia? No. What was the favor? Look on page
49. Oh,
Yeah, it's on
Okay.
49.
I got it.
It says, I owe you a favor. And then Reverend Hunt says, okay, well, here's my favor. Here's what I want you to do. Connor?
He says to Captain Smith, respect the gentleman. That's the favor.
Yeah. He's like, do your best and respect these men. Aaron, sit up. Open your book and sit up. Do your best and respect these men. It may not be easy. It might be hard to do, but it's going to make this a whole lot easier for all of us when we get to the new world. So that was the favor. It's going to be North America. Virginia is where they're headed. New World. That's what Christopher Columbus and the explorers, which we haven't got there yet in social studies, have found. So Christopher Columbus, he found the Caribbean islands, and then the other explorers after him found North America and South America. So that's where they're headed. They're headed to North America, East Coast. No, technically he didn't. You're right. But he's kind of famous for it, even though he technically didn't. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Here we go. After 6 days on Nevis, I am fatter. The birds are so tame we pluck them out of the bushes with our hands. The sea is teeming with fish and the trees are full of fruit. The only natives on the island are afraid of us and they stay well hidden. I am also cleaner. I have gone twice to the hot pools in the forest to bathe. But now Captain Newport says it's time to leave. We pack up the tents and cook pots, barrels we have filled with fresh water, meat and fish we have dried for the rest of our voyage, and crates full of pineapples, mangoes, plantains, coconuts, and wild bird eggs. We sail past the Spanish islands of Vieques and Puerto Rico. We stop on the island of Mana just long enough to get fresh water and for a group of gentlemen to go hunting. They leave in the morning, taking a few soldiers with them for protection from the natives. They dress as if they are going pheasant hunting on a cool English morning in silk doublets, velvet breeches, stockings, shoes, and felt hats with their powder flasks hanging at their sides. The group returns in the evening, exhausted and faint, carrying what the expedition has killed: 2 boars, several iguanas, and the gentleman, Edward Brooks. They say Brooks's fat melted inside his body in the extreme heat. First of all, you're in the middle of the Caribbean. It's hot. It's sweltering. You're roasting. And they're going hunting, and look what they're wearing. They're wearing doublets and velvet breeches and stockings and shoes and felt hats, and they're having their flask at their side. And so they come back with 2 boars, which are a type of pig, some iguanas, and the gentleman, Edward Brooks. He's dead. Why is he dead?
Because he's fat and his stomach broke.
Fat melted inside his body? That's figurative language. What does that mean?
So, like, all the fat on him, he overheated.
Yeah, that's it. He overheated. He got hot. Extreme heat. It happens, unfortunately, if you're not prepared or not drinking enough water. Or in this case, it sounds like he might have been just stubborn. Captain Smith has a few choice words to say about gentlemen who are too ignorant to know they should carry enough water on a 6-mile hike in the tropics and too ignorant to take off their extra clothing when they get hot. But this time he's wise enough not to utter these words where any of the gentlemen can hear him. I did not know Edward Brooks well. He was a passenger on one of the other ships. Still, it is strange to see his pale, waxy skin and his limbs stiff with death. They dig a shallow grave for Master Brooks, and we sail away, leaving him there on Mana. I have dreams that night that the cannibals find his body and dig him up and eat him. I awake in a cold sweat. I try to calm down, reminding myself that this could not possibly happen. No one digs up a grave for food.
That is horrifying.
What does this say about the gentleman, though? Like, we know what happened to Edward Brooks, but what does this say about the gentleman in regards to how Edward Brooks died?
Well, they could have brought extra water and the context was.
What's the word for that?
Ignorant.
Okay, John Smith used that word, ignorant, because they're not familiar with this territory. They're not familiar with this weather. They're not familiar with how to do things correctly. What do you think?
Stubborn.
Stubborn. That's a good word. I would use that. Definitely stubborn, gentlemen are. And so, because of there's another word I'm going to use, naive. Have you heard of
Naive.
Because they are so naive, meaning because they're so novice, they're beginners at everything. They tend to be naive. They tend to make silly decisions and choices, which is kind of what happened with Edward Brooks. Yeah, he just made some silly decision. Why wouldn't you drink a lot of water when it's super hot? Why wouldn't you shed all of that clothing off when you're super hot?
Even if you were, it was nice clothes.
Right, exactly.
At least hold them.
I just lost I'm going to pause this for just a minute. Pause. All right, chapter 8. The 6th and the 20th day of April, about 4 o'clock in the morning, we descried the land of Virginia. This was from Master Percy's journal. Okay, the 'tween deck seems dark after all those sunlit days on the island. We are sailing north now towards Virginia. Reverend Hunt says we will travel right past Florida without stopping because it belongs to the Spanish. He says that 40 years ago, the French had a colony at Fort Caroline in Florida. He tells me how he heard that the Spanish came and massacred all of the French settlers, men, women, and children. No, we will not be that foolish enough to land at Florida. So remember when I told you a little bit of background last week with the Spanish? Did I tell you that?
No.
Okay, so if I didn't, Captain Smith says at one point, they're in Miss Wood's room. Captain Smith says at one point, he says, or maybe it was Newport, when they met the Caribbean Indians for the first time, he said, we will not be Spanish barbarians. Do you remember when he said that?
Yeah.
Okay. What he's referring to is in the early civilization time period with the Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs, even some of the earlier Native Americans, listen, civilizations, the Spanish came in, they were explorers, and they explored some of those civilizations. What the Spanish didn't understand was they didn't understand these civilizations. It scared them. And so the Spanish literally took over their civilizations and just wiped them out. And so that's what they're referring to when they say Spanish barbarians. They're saying, we're not going to act like these guys. We're not going to do the same mistakes they did. We're not going to knock out a civilization unless they attack first. You know, that's what Newport had said earlier. So that's what they mean when they bring up the Spanish, and they bring them up a few times in the next couple of chapters, because that's what they have to go back on, the history of what happened with them. All right, so I lost my spot. Okay, foul weather makes the 'tween deck even darker. Thunder cracks loud as a cannon shot. I look up through the hatch opening and see black storm clouds boiling in the sky. Take in the sails, Captain Newport orders. Another crack of thunder booms and lightning flashes. I hear the wind whip the rigging against the mast. The sea bucks and the ship rolls and jerks. Men begin to retch again as if they were new to seafaring. The rain comes down in torrents, and when we shout that it is flooding the 'tween deck, the sailors oblige us by covering up the hatch so that we are shut in the dark with our stale, vomit-scented air to breathe. That's nice, thanks. We're flooding, but you're going to shut the lid. Thanks. Lanterns are lit and they swing wildly, making shadows move like ghostly dancers. The gentlemen complain bitterly. We should go back to England, they say. We should have reached Virginia weeks ago. We must be off course. This voyage is ill-fated. I lie in my bed, angry and discouraged. Captain Newport has been telling us for weeks that we'll see land any day. Maybe we are off course. I'm sick of the 'tween decks, sick of sailing, sick of the storms that come one after another, and this is the most violent storm yet. The sound of crashing waves is a roar in my ears, punctuated by the creaking of the wooden ship. James and Richard lie next to me. Are we gonna die? James asked.
Yeah.
Will the waves break open the hull? I hear a loud crack and it makes me jump. It is followed by frantic squawking, and I realize it's only a chicken crate that has smashed into an ale barrel down below. Shut up, James, I snap at him. I'm annoyed that he could scare me into mistaking a sliding chicken crate for a cracking ship's hull. Yes, you are going to die. Every one of us is going to die, I say. James begins to whimper, and I'm sure he's dripping snot onto the bed. Aw, do you want your stepmom now? I taunt him. Richard sits up and slugs me in the arm. Stop it, he shouts over another rumble of thunder. Leave him be, you stinking jail rat. You're nothing but a common thief. In a second, I'm up on my knees. I'm pounding Richard with my fist, punching his face, his shoulders, anywhere I can hit. He's kicking and he's flailing. He kicks me in the stomach and I can't breathe. James scoots out of our way and wails for Reverend Hunt. In the shifting shadows, it's hard to see. I swing, my fist connects with Richard's teeth, and I feel my knuckles cut open. Now Richard is on his feet. He whacks me in the side of the head. I feel dizzy, but I jump up, ready to meet him toe to toe. Strong arms close around my chest, dragging me back again. I see Richard's face, blood dripping from his mouth down his chin. It is not Reverend Hunt who has dragged me away. I will not get a sermon on how fighting is not the Lord's way, how I must learn to act from love instead of anger. No, it's Captain Smith who has a hold of me. I know better than to struggle. He drags me to where the chain bolts lie and then releases me. Stand on one foot, he orders. I hesitate a moment, thinking this is a stupid thing he has ordered me to do. He cuffs me for my hesitation. What does cuff mean?
Put it in.
No, it doesn't mean put in handcuffs. There you go. You just did it. What is it? Yeah, Tristan's right. He hit him. He cuffs him. He slaps him in the face. He cuffs me for my hesitation. It's the first time he has hit me, and it makes me want to run, but there's no place to run to. Stand on one foot, he shouts. I can do this ridiculous thing or be cuffed again, harder. It's difficult to balance on the rocking ship, but I try. I lift my left leg. I balance on my right. The ship lurches. I stumble. I catch myself. I try again. I fall against a barrel. Do it, Captain Smith orders. He's glowering at me. Stand on one foot, you fool. Tears catch in my throat. He is worse than my father. I lift one leg. I balance for a split second. But Captain Smith shoves me, and I fall onto the tween deck floor. I shout in frustration. He stands over me. Does it work, Samuel? He demands. Can you stand on one foot when a storm rocks the ship? Can you keep your footing when I shove you? I'm bewildered. I'm angry. And I shake my head. No, I cannot balance on one leg in a storm. Captain Smith picks up the chains that recently held him prisoner. In London, it might have worked for you. This standing on your own, treating other boys as if they don't matter. In Virginia, it will not work. Do you understand me? The wilderness is like a ship in a storm. We will need one another to survive. He clamps the irons roughly around my ankles and wrists. If these blasted gentlemen refuse to learn that fact, then at least my page will learn it. This colony will need to stand on many legs if we are not to be toppled over in the Virginia wilderness. He goes back to his own bed, and I'm left to try to find a comfortable way to sleep in my chains between two crates. What lesson is John Smith or Captain Smith teaching Sam? Is he teaching him a lesson? Is he just being mean? What happened here? What just happened?
So, Sam was beating up kids in England, and then him and the other kid got in a fight. And then Captain Smith comes down and then tries to get him to balance on one foot.
What is that showing him, though? This balancing on one foot. What is this teaching him?
In London, like a city.
Well, no, it's a metaphor, guys. It's figurative language. Okay, Sophia, turn around this way. It's figurative language, okay? He's trying to teach him this lesson. He's standing on one foot in a rocking ship. Can you do that very well? No. You can't really stand on one foot in a rocking ship independently. Okay? So what do you have to do when you're standing on one foot in a rocking ship? Who's going to support you? You're going to have to hold something. You're going to have to hold a friend's shoulder. You're going to need to have support, right?
Yeah.
So what's he telling us with this illustration he's doing with Sam? What are they going to need? What is Sam going to need to survive?
He's going to need support from friends.
Yeah, he's going to have to stop trying to do everything independently, and he's going to have some type of support, correct? Yeah, that's what John Smith is trying to teach him with that exercise. Interesting. Was he being mean when he hit him?
No.
Well, Sam made a mention that he's worse than his father, and I think I tend to disagree with that. I don't think John Smith was being mean as in his father, comparing to his father. I think John Smith was trying to teach him a lesson. Yeah. All right, let's finish this one up. Land ho! The shout comes before dawn. It's followed by a loud ruckus up on deck, whooping and hollering, laughing and stomping. Everyone in the tween deck is awake in an instant. Captain Smith calls across to Reverend Hunt. Reverend, did you pray up that storm last night? From the sound of it, it blew us straight to Virginia. I'm cold and stiff from sleeping chained, curled up in a small space like a snail. I rub my eyes, my head hurts, and my jaw aches. I need a slop bucket badly, and there is none within reach. I'm too proud to call for help, though, so I grit my teeth and wait. Someone lights a lantern and men begin to stir. Reverend Hunt marches Richard over to me. His cheek is swollen and one of his eyes is turning purple. I'm proud of my handiwork. Richard looks at me and I see half smile cross his face and I realize I must be purple and swollen too for him to look so satisfied. Reverend Hunt clears his throat. Richard has something to say, he tells me. Richard twists his shirt tail around his fingers. I'm sorry I hit you, he said quickly, and I won't call you those bad names anymore. I wonder if he means it or if he's just obeying Reverend Hunt, but mostly I'm hoping someone will figure out that I need a slop bucket before I soil my slops. Captain Smith ambles over. As I remember, it was important for someone to bring me a bucket in the morning when I was locked in those things, he says, and yawns. Oh, but Samuel doesn't need anyone's help, so I suppose we'll just leave him be. That's the way he likes it. The three of them start to walk away, and I'm about to burst. I jump to my feet. Captain Smith, sir! I call after him. Might I please have a slop bucket? Captain Smith looks at me and laughs. Me? An officer serving my own page? I think not. I dance from one foot to the other. Why is he tormenting me? I certainly can't ask Reverend Hunt to bring it to me. Then I understand. Richard is the only one I can ask. The only one who should be asked to bring a slop bucket to another servant. I groan. I can't wait much longer, or I'll be embarrassed beyond words and have no clean slops to wear. Richard! I try to keep the desperation out of my voice. I'm sorry for punching you last night. Bring me a bucket, would you? Richard glances at Captain Smith and grins, enjoying his moment of victory. But Captain Smith puts a quick stop to the gloating. Don't make the boy wait. Hop to it, he says. The moment Richard sets the bucket down, I drop my slops, I have a seat, and I relieve myself. Captain Smith seems satisfied with what I have learned about cooperation, and he unclamps my chains. Don't let your anger get the best of you, Samuel, he says. Learn to channel it, and it will become your strength rather than your weakness. I have seen that he has been channeling his anger at Master Wingfield and Captain Ratcliffe into his writing. He is telling his side of the story. I turn my attention to the excitement at hand. Have we really found Virginia? Master Wingfield pounds on the closed hatch. I demand to know what is happening up there, he shouts. Finally, the sailors pull open the hatch and send down reports. We've entered a bay. There are tall trees along a sandy shoreline. There's no sign of savages. Then they tell us we're dropping anchor. A party will go ashore to explore. At last, we are allowed up on deck for our first sight of Virginia. It's green, quiet, and desolate. There are no natives coming to us in canoes as they did in the Caribbean islands. There are no houses, there's no huts, just wise old trees and spring leaf standing guard over the sandy shore. Quiet, desolate, and free. We can pick any place, any piece of forest or meadow, and make it ours. A group of gentlemen and sailors get ready to go ashore. Bring picks and shovels, Master Wingfield orders. And Captain Smith scoffs. I suggest we find a place to live before you go digging for gold. We can't eat gold. Master Wingfield gives him a disdainful look. Did you not read your contract with the Virginia Company? The part where it says we are to turn a profit for the company as soon as possible? We will eat the supplies we brought and dig for gold. The Godspeed and the Discovery are anchored nearby as well. I watch as the longboats are rowed to shore. About 30 men in all disembark for the exploratory trip. Most of them gentlemen and sailors. Many of them have their muskets ready with slow matches burning. Those of us who are left spend the day sitting or lying around either on deck or in the 'tween deck waiting. And while we wait, the gentlemen, soldiers, carpenters, laborers, and servants all discuss their ideas about the new world. We can't get gold in a day. We'll need to plow and plant and live here a while. You won't catch me walking behind a plow. I've got peasants to do that back in England. I say we eat the stores we brought, get the gold fast, and go home. The gold is not where the biggest profit is. I want to explore, find the new passage to the Orient the Virginia Company wants. Now that's how to strike it rich. If we can get gold, silk, spices, and jewels from India and China back to England without having to deal with those Ottoman Turks and their marked up prices, just think of the profits we'll make. And there was one lone voice, Reverend Hunt, who says he has not come for gold or to find the new passage to the Orient. He says we have been sent by God for more noble purposes, to bring the good news of Christ to the Virginia natives, and to look for survivors from the Roanoke colony. Of course, as soon as he says it, all the other men agree that's some of why they have come as well. But I know their hearts are set more on gold and profits than on finding lost colonists or saving souls. James and Richard have gotten hold of a deck of cards and are playing and laughing, and I'm determined to stay out of trouble so I don't say one mean thing to them all day. When I look at the quiet forest, I wonder what it will be like to live there, to build houses and create a settlement. I wonder what it will be like to do as Captain Smith says and work with the others gather rather than keeping to myself the way I have done for so long. It seems to me it will be strange, and I'm not sure I will like it. The cook starts supper. He throws a large chunk of pork and several pounds of peas with water into the cook pot. Later, he adds handfuls of sea biscuits. They're hard enough to break your teeth when they're dry, but in the peas porridge, they will become soft and chewy. At dusk, we hear voices and look out to see the men returning, and they're in good spirits and wonder if they've found gold already. Just in time for supper, declares the cook, and he begins to ladle peas porridge into the mess pots. Suddenly, I hear a cry, and then frantic shouting and someone moaning. I run to the railing. In the half light of the dusk, I see them, 5 of them, crouched on a hill, their naked bodies painted, arrows flying from their longbows. Already one of the sailors has fallen. No, I shout as if my objection can change anything. Use your muskets, shoot them. I hear the command, make ready your piece. Our men load their muskets, prime the pan, charge the piece with powder, put in the musket ball, ram down the charge, cock the match. By the time the first musket shot rings out, the Indians are already leaving, creeping away silently on hands and feet like bears. The musket balls don't even come close to them. The injured men are brought to Dr. Thomas Wooten aboard the Godspeed. A gentleman, Gabriel Archer, has been shot through both hands, and a sailor has been shot twice in the torso. Your body. I see now that this land is not so free and open. This is Indian land, and they do not want us here. And what is worse, it seems to me that their bows and arrows are quicker and more accurate and can shoot farther than our muskets.
Can we read 9, please?
So, no, we're not going to read 9. So, what I want you guys to kind of understand is, back in that time period when they were, when you're talking about guns and getting guns ready, and peace, Piece, that's another name for a gun, is what they were talking about there, getting their piece ready. Yeah, down here on page 61, it says on the bottom of 61, after the first arrow came through, they shouted, use your muskets, shoot them. And so here are the steps to using this gun. It wasn't just a quick pull the trigger. It was load their muskets, prime the pan, charge the piece with powder, put in the musket ball, ram down the charge, cock the match. Very much like a cannonball. Very much how they had to load a cannon. They had to load their guns the same way with gunpowder. So by the time they had their gun ready for that one shot, Native Americans were already gone. So right there, there's a disadvantage there. Right there, the Native Americans have an advantage because they're going to be quicker. So, all right. What I want you guys to do today is I want you guys to look at your questions. We're going to do chapters 7 and 8 questions and the read strategy on both. Okay, so chapter 7 says, the gentlemen are very proud yet ignorant. How has this gotten in their way? We did talk about this. How could this be a downfall for them in the future? And future is typoed. It's spelled wrong. I'm sorry. You're going to use the read method for this. So your READ to answer this question. Chapter 8 question. I see now that this land is not so free and open. What does Samuel mean by this? So again, I want you to use your read strategy for this one as well. Okay. If you're not familiar with the read strategy, like I'll help Chloe here in just a few minutes. I'll help you do that. There's someone else in this room that I need to help with the read strategy. I can't remember, but I'll look here in just a minute. All right, Blake, I hope you feel better and hopefully you enjoyed the last 2 chapters. Everybody say bye. Bye, Blake. Bye, Blake. What?